So that is transitions. Stop it, drift, flatten it out when you apply all of that pop, hip, snap, rotation from the core, guide it on its way home. What's going on, everybody? Gunnar here. I know I said we were done with the whole casting outside in the snow business, but I got one more thing to share with you, and it is the key to limitless power. Man, that laugh was corny. So if you guys checked out my latest casting video, it was all about how to cast weighted flies, basically clousers, anything that has more momentum than it does air drag. And I brought up a really interesting principle developed by Mark Sadati, which is weight balancing flies. Weighting a fly relative to its air resistance, or basically increasing the air resistance to match the weight. You can do it either way. It's a really cool principle. I learned a bunch of it from Captain Ian Devlin, but it originates with Mark Sadati and his slammers, and it's such a cool thing. So Mark and I were catching up on the phone the other day, and Mark had actually seen that video, which I just think that's the coolest thing ever. But he had mentioned to me that I did something in my casting called a transition. Now, Mark has a video on transitions. I'll link it right here for you guys to check out. It's well worth your time because transitions are the secret powerhouse to fly casting. Now, let's do some fly casting with my lightsaber here. I'm going to do basically like a 10-2, really aggressive start-stop. I kind of hate the 10-2 thing, but we're going to do it anyway. So you'd be casting. You can see, it doesn't really matter what I do, especially with my haul, it's really not adding anything. I can't get the lightsaber to come out. And that's because there's no transitions. It's a very abrupt stop and the rod stays where it is. Now, when you get into heavy rods, you get into big flies, you get into heavy flies, you're gonna love transitions. It's gonna fix so many things. It's like the difference between, you give it everything you got and you throw a 70-foot tailing loop, to you get everything you got and you throw a fly line and everything turns over perfectly straight. It's literally, it rests in that transition. So what I'm gonna do in my fly cast, I'm not just gonna stop here. I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna drift. I'm gonna lengthen my casting stroke a little bit. Now here's the transition. It comes after the drift. I'm going to, there it is. Look at this, lightsaber fully extended. It's a beautiful thing. So what happened was, as I stopped and I drifted back to lengthen my stroke, both hands come together so that I'm adding tension. The moment I start that cast, you're gonna see my lightsaber dip towards parallel so that all this loading, all of the pressure, all that acceleration, it's such a good thing. You guys have to understand, when you stop a fly rod and it stops really high and you catch all of the weight of that line and you start to accelerate it up here, where does the bend go? It goes on the tip. That's really hard on your wrist, isn't it? Because you have to now counteract all of that leverage. Broke the lightsaber there. You have to counteract all of that leverage in your wrist. And the loading is happening in the tip, which isn't what you want because tips buckle. They buckle all the time. A really tippy rod, you try to do that on a tippy rod with a big fly, you're gonna throw tailing loops all day long. Now what happens when you get into that transition, all that acceleration is happening on a flat rod. Basically, right? It's nearly flat. So the tip can only bend about that far, and all of that loading, all that acceleration, all of that power, which you should be deriving from your body, your hips and core, not your upper body, is being loaded into the blank of the rod. So instead of the problem that a lot of people have, which is, they don't have good timing, they're into their cast before they catch it with a high rod tip, all of these bad things, you are increasing your efficiency like tenfold because the moment I move, I'm loading. And I'm not just loading, I'm loading the blank. And I have nearly no pressure or leverage on my wrist. So the moment you cast an 11 weight, extremely helpful. The moment you're casting a foot, a 12-inch fly, extremely helpful because the rod has no leverage and I have 100% efficiency going into the butt of that blank. Now, as you accelerate, if I could load that rod to 100% of its capability, of maximize the potential of the system here, I have used zero of my weak muscle change. You want to talk about fatigue and fly casting? I have not used anything besides just a straight line grip strength. All of that power, all of that rotation is hip driven. And then you take 100% of that potential energy and you simply guide it and pop it off the rod. That is how you can cast an 11 weight for 10 hours straight with a foot-long fly when you're musky fishing and not fatigue, not have a sore shoulder, not have bad grip strength, not have arthritis. It's all coming from the hips, and it's all because you can put 100% of that power, load, efficiency into the blank of that rod right here, and then the arm simply guides it. So that is transitions. It's the tipping of the rod toward horizontal at the start of the cast, so that all of the energy and power and everything you're trying to do goes into the butt section and not the tip, so the tip can't buckle. Then you take 100% of that energy and you guide it. So let's grab the 10 weight up here, grab a fly line out of my bag, and do some slow-mo outside in about 2 feet of snow. Let's do it. Yeah. There's backing. Maybe I should put the camera on the other side, but we'll just start here. She gone. She gone. Look at that. Perfectly. Oh, can you see my line in the snow? It is 100% perfectly straight. Oh, it's such a wonderful thing. That's a transition, folks. Look at this line. Can you see it? All the way into the woods. All the way into the woods. You want slow-mo? We'll do slow-mo. Gone into oblivion. Look at this wrist. You ready? It's going to go flat. Boom. Boom. Bah. I can see a knot in my line. I wonder if I can throw it out. No, I couldn't throw it out. I got stuck right there. It was a good try. Valiant effort. The longer I'm out here, the colder this line's gonna get. It was 45 in my garage. It's about 19 out right now. Full fly line, perfectly straight, no tailing loops, no nothing. Energy at the end, you can see my rod tip just get yanked at the end of that cast. Probably go 130, 140 feet. That one didn't have as much, maybe 115. And you can see all the power, like I'm off balance. My footing's weird, you know, this foot's higher. My stance is awkward because I'm in a bunch of snow, and yet all the power's in the hips. I have zero pressure or strain on my wrist because everything kind of flattens out, and then you just kind of guide it to a pop. Come on, knots. Come on, knots. I mean, the ideal thing is this snow, if I make my coils right, has like no friction on it. Maybe I'm trying a little too hard. So I'll do my best to make it look effortless. You ready? It's all in that transition and hip snap. Of course, being effortless, it didn't have the wham at the end of it, but fly line anyway, like it's just smooth. Just a smooth, perfectly straight fly line. So that is transitions. Stop it, drift, flatten it out when you apply all of that pop, hip, snap, rotation from the core, guide it on its way home. Puts all that load right into the butt of that blank. You can accelerate very quickly, basically maximize the performance of your rod and really increase your efficiency. I know that I have studied that from Mark Sidotti's video. That's got to be 2 or 3 years old. I've probably watched it 100 times. And I'm just happy he told me I was actually using it because a lot of time and effort went into practicing that. And now I can share it with you guys and help you guys in your fly cast. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks, Mark, for giving me a call and a refresher course on transitions. Yeah, I don't know. So today's gear, for anybody interested, this is the one-piece Predator stick from Thomas Shank, which is a Chippewa River Custom Rods. It's the 8-foot 10-inch and a 10-weight. I have it paired with the Rio Elite Predator system. This fly line is a float intermediate Sync 3 35-foot spay taper and a true 10-weight. Well, it's the head, you know, it's a 10-weight line on 10-weight rod. Everybody gets confused about that, but it's the 10 on the 10. Truly awesome system, very well balanced. Oh, it's just a match made in heaven. So that's what we were using. See ya.